What's your wife/husband's toxic trait? My wife is lovely when she's not an angry little bean on the path of revenge. We have been married for 3 years, and I've always loved her fiery spirit. But sometimes, our fights get really intense. One time, during dinner at home, she started flinging peas at me from across the table by using her fork as a catapult. She laughed when one of them bounced off my face. I thought it looked fun, and started flinging peas back at her. But when one of them successfully hit her, she got really angry, and started slinging food at me, until the dining room was a full-on mess. She walked away, and left the cleaning up to me. And the rest of the night, she kept giving me the side eye and saying that she couldn't believe I had the audacity to hit her, all because I landed one pea on her. The worst is when our fights end up involving other people. Like a few months ago, my wife and I decided to go on a 3-day cruise together to celebrate our anniversary. Since we usually went off on our own for vacations, we wanted to try following the cruise's itinerary for once and see what we'd been missing out. In the ship's ballroom, we sat around watching people dance to different generations of music, and soon, a conga line started. My wife jumped in, and I sat back a little, watching her enjoy while I drank. But a guy pulled me into the back of the line, and his wife joined in behind me. My wife stared at me down like a hawk, watching the woman hold my shoulders while laughing. I shook my head and remembered thinking, oh boy, here we go. When the song ended, we all returned to our seats, and my wife immediately started interrogating me. Before she could completely explode, the couple that dragged me into the dance walked over and invited us for dinner. I shook my head, no, because I knew having dinner with them would just make things worse. We left the ballroom to get changed, and I took her out to a fancy restaurant on the ship to try to cheer her up. Instead, we just sat there in silence, and I got pretty anxious waiting for when she would point out all the things I did wrong. At the end of the dinner, my wife and I returned to our room, where we spent the next 10 minutes arguing over the conga dance. My wife completely backstabbed the nice couple, calling them fake and shaming their bright clothing. She called the husband a hippie, and the wife a foreign gold digger. I honestly just had enough of her negativity, and told her to just stay in the room if she didn't want to be nice to anyone on the ship. I walked out of the hotel room, and headed towards the ship's deck for some fresh air. After about 20 minutes of walking around the deck, I went back to the room. I tried entering, but the bolts kept the door shut. I tried calling out to my wife and calling her phone, but she was clearly hibernating for the night. I walked over to the lobby to speak to the concierge about my situation. I explained to her that my wife and I had a fight, so she probably thought it was funny to bolt the door, but then she fell asleep. The receptionist just smiled and listened, before explaining that if I really wanted to enter the room, they would have to break down the door in the middle of the night, which would be very expensive and disturb many guests on the floor. I frowned and imagined having to sleep on the deck, covered in towels instead. I asked for a cheaper alternative, and she checked the list of rooms before suggesting, there's another room available that is currently not occupied. However, we'll charge an extra $100 for the night. I agreed to it, since I was already feeling exhausted. I didn't expect them to lead me to a nice deluxe suite on the ship. My mouth dropped when I saw the hot tub in the middle of the bathroom. I laughed like a fool and spent the night feeling pampered. I made sure to text my wife the suite number before dozing off. I woke up around 9 a.m. to an angry pounding on the door. I checked the peephole and saw my wife flipping me off. I opened the door for her, and when she saw the beautiful room, she demanded that we upgrade to this one, so she could also experience it. She ranted about how it was unfair I got to enjoy the room without her, and I reminded her that she locked me out, and how I almost had to sleep on the floor somewhere on the ship because of her. She screamed and stormed off to fight the receptionist who helped me out. The receptionist smiled, and had my wife dragged away to the meditation room on the deck of the ship, with the guards watching her for half an hour to help her calm down. I watched her from a distance, drinking down a mojito happily, despite knowing that we would 100% have another fight about this later.